Hello, my name is Abigail and welcome back to Polyglot Progress. Today is September 14th, 2020, and this is going to be my fourth and final update in the Summer Goals 2020 series. If you have not been following along this whole summer, I would definitely recommend going back and checking out some of the other videos, or at least checking out the first video, as this is really going to kind of be more of a kind of wrap-up of things as opposed to explaining my goals specifically. If you have been following along the whole summer, then thanks for sticking with it. Welcome to the end. I feel like some of the goals that I mentioned in this video that didn't happen this summer will not really be much of a surprise to anyone, just because they are things that kind of throughout the summer I started to realize weren't really gonna happen. And I think it also helps that last month I touched on how I felt like the month before that just didn't even happen. It just totally escaped me. And July didn't go super great either, so this kind of second half of the summer hasn't really been my finest language learning time, but I do feel like I kind of got back on track with a lot of it this past month. So I did complete some of it, but I'm sure that a lot of the things that didn't get done that were overall summer goals won't be too much of a shock to you. So my first goal was to follow the summer portion of my 2020 kind of plan for the year. The plan was in May to kind of intensively review and get back on track with my German while kind of maintaining my French. Then in June, I was going to maintain my French and German and be working on studying and reviewing Spanish. Then in July, I would be studying Italian and maintaining Spanish, German, and French. And then in August, I would be kind of learning Bulgarian as the main focus and then maintaining Spanish, German, Italian, and French. This is one that I kind of stopped following very early on in the summer, I'd say. By about June, this was just kind of not happening. And it wasn't that it was not happening or that I had really failed with it, it was that I kind of reassessed it and kind of moved things around. The same general principle of focusing on one language and then maintaining and improving the others through immersion was totally still happening throughout the whole summer up until kind of a couple weeks ago, and I'll talk about that in a second. Really, the only thing that changed is when it came the end of June, I felt like I wasn't in a place with my Spanish where I wanted to move on to Italian yet. I felt like my German was not my ideal German level by any means when I moved on to focusing on Spanish, but it felt like it was caught up to the place I needed it to be. Whereas with Spanish, I felt like I still wasn't totally at that point yet. I felt like I still needed a little bit more time focusing more intensively on it. So I decided to push that into a little bit of July, basically the first 2 weeks, and then start Italian, which then kind of pushed all my language plans. And then the same thing happened with Italian. I'm actually still focusing on Italian right now. I have not moved on to Bulgarian. So Italian ended up taking up the second half of July, all of August, I guess, and then now part of September. And truly it's because I am just realizing that my Italian, I think, might have been the one that got kind of the rustiest in my kind of year apart. And I think part of that is kind of all those times throughout this year hiatus that I took where I would kind of come back to language learning and try to do a little bit. I think Spanish was one that I came to quite frequently. German was one that I came to pretty frequently. I even did a little bit of Bulgarian, but I wasn't really doing Italian when I would kind of check in to do language stuff. So I think that's one where I truly had a full year away from it. I probably came back like once or twice, but there was definitely more Spanish that was done and more of these other languages that was done, so I just needed like a little bit more time with it. And then also in August, I just got very busy. That's really the reason I didn't finish with Italian then. I probably, had I had more time to extensively study it, I probably would have moved on in September, but I don't want to move on just because I've set myself the time goal. Like, my goal was to be on this schedule, but my real goal that I prioritize above that is getting to the levels that I want in the languages. And so when it felt like moving on was gonna hinder that, I'm not gonna prioritize moving on as a result. So I wouldn't say that I failed that one. Even though I didn't complete that one necessarily, I changed it because I reassessed my language levels and my language focuses. So I think had I stuck to that, I would actually feel like I failed. Because I think then I would be prioritizing just checking off this goal of following my summer 2020 plans as opposed to actually following the summer 2020 plans, which was to intensively get back to a solid place with the language and then focus on immersion and stuff. And I just wasn't at that place yet with Spanish, and then I wasn't at that place with Italian. What's happening now after that as a result is I am trying to finish up Italian. I have like 4 chapters left in Italian tutor, which has still been kind of my grounding point for this project. I have been doing other stuff, and I've actually kind of branched off into doing immersion Italian stuff. I've been watching a show on Netflix, I've been listening to podcasts, I've been doing kind of other stuff, but I have been still kind of grounding myself in that Italian textbook. And I've got like 4 chapters left. I'm just at stuff at this point that I never learned in Italian the first time around, so I am learning new things, and it's just taking me a little bit longer. I also don't like to kind of bog myself down with that much grammar in one day, because I find that if I study like 3 different tenses, it feels good in the moment, but then realistically I haven't learned those 3 tenses by the end of it. And in fact, I really need to go back and practice kind of conjugating for various tenses for pretty much all the languages. That's something that I feel like I struggle with a little bit. I really like grammar, I like learning grammar, but I do think I have a hard time with kind of tenses and moods that I don't use very often, like past, present, future. Totally good with those pretty much always, but I just don't use a lot of them super often, but I'd like to be able to, so I should go back and kind of review those, do some exercises, write some sample sentences at some point. And then my plan is to finish that probably in the coming week or so, but if that doesn't happen, like September at the very latest, I want to be done with it at the end of September, and then I will move on to Bulgarian, which I'm going to study through the end of this year, I've decided, and then I will reassess. I wanted to finish 4 textbooks this summer, and I finished 2, very nearly a third. Finished German tutor, finished Spanish tutor, and like I said, I'm about 4 chapters away from finishing Italian tutor, so that would have been the 3 tutor books that I wanted to finish. So I finished 2 of them, wanted to finish Italian tutor, and I really almost have. If I'd filmed this video a few days later, then I guess I would have, but I didn't, so I'm almost done with it. And then I wanted to finish either intensive Bulgarian or colloquial Bulgarian, which I said, I think almost in my 2nd month update video that just was not going to happen, and my new goal was to just start it. I didn't even start it, so I guess that's one that I did fail at, but again, I failed at it because I decided I needed some more time with my Spanish and then some more time with my Italian, so I'm not going to beat myself up over that one because I made the right move. This next goal, this is the one that I failed at, I'd say. Most of the things that I failed or didn't complete on this list, I really feel like there was a reason, or like was justified, or I just kind of changed my desires and things. This next one is totally not the case. I just did not complete the goal. So I wanted to read 5 books. I read 0. I have been reading books, but I did not complete a single one of these books that I wanted to read. So I wanted to read Die im Olymp, which is, where is it? Oh, it's over there. I'm not gonna get it. It's Percy Jackson in German. And I didn't finish it. I'm not even very far into it. I'm like a few chapters in. I have not read in quite a while, honestly. That was one that I knew coming into this summer that I have just in my adult life been very bad at getting myself to kind of read for fun. And I really like reading. I always have, but I just, at this point in my life, I'm very bad at doing it as a fun thing. So I wanted to get better at that, especially because I want to use that as a way to kind of improve and maintain my languages. I realized on Goodreads the other day that I have completed 1 book since I graduated, and it was about 200 pages long. It was Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, if you're wondering, in English. I have been reading and listening to other books. I was listening to an audiobook in English for a while, but then the volunteer gig that I had where I was kind of listening to it, I have no longer been doing that anymore, and so I kind of lost my audiobook time, so that hasn't really had any progress made on it. And then I've been reading this Percy Jackson book. I've been reading this book in Spanish, which is one of the other books of this 5 list, but I didn't finish either of them. And I also, in addition to those 2 books, wanted to read Matilda in Italian, or possibly a different Italian kind of middle grade book, a book in French, and then something else. And I didn't even start those other 3. So I'd say that this one totally failed, and I really just need to get better at it, because like I said, it's not even so much a problem of I'm struggling to read in other languages, it's that I'm struggling to read in general. I read a singular book this whole summer. And it's not because I take a long time to read, I'm actually a very fast reader, and when I am consistently reading, I can finish a book like every day to every few days, assuming it's short enough, but I know that books in other languages take me a little bit longer, but that was not the reason for this. I am just not super great at the moment with sitting down and getting myself to read a book, even though I really like it, and it's not so much getting myself to do it, but it is because for some reason I don't do it on my own. So that's the goal I majorly failed with. I'd like to fix that this year. I would really love to, I think, by the time 2021 rolls around, have finished at least this book and the book I'm reading in German, because I've already started them. So that would be great if I could just finish them, but I'd like to read some other books too. I can tell you now I'm not completing that Goodreads goal. Maybe 50 books will be a 2021 thing. Maybe the first year that I'm completely not in school is the year for me to read 50 books. Just gotta get myself to read. I wanted to watch TV and movies and make myself kind of watch lists for the languages that I'm studying, and I both didn't do this and I did do this. I made myself a German watch list and read list and just kind of resource list. I didn't do that for any other language, so I would like to still do that at some point. I would say that's a goal that I failed, because that would not take me very long. So I'd definitely like to do that at some point, but I didn't totally fail at watching movies and TV. I think I could get better at this. Much like reading, I am not super great about watching things, even though I am trying to do film as my career. I'm not super great about watching things. I am good about doing things, like I can write my own films, I can work on films, I can do all the things, but when it comes to reading for pleasure, watching things for pleasure, I think the school system crushed that out of me, and I have not yet figured out how to get myself to be able to do these things that I enjoy just for fun again and not when they're assigned to me. I have been watching Luna Nera in Italian. I am on like episode 3, I think. I've been watching with the Learning a Language through Netflix or whatever that app is called, which I'd never tried, and I gotta say I really like it. I like that it has the dual subtitles. I like that you can hover over and pause the show to see the definition of the word. I saw recently that there's another app, I forgot what they're called, but they're doing it just for Spanish TV right now, and it's kind of the same thing. I haven't tried it, but I'd be interested to hear if any of you have. Overall though, when I watch things in other languages, I only use subtitles in the target language. I don't use English subtitles, because I feel like that for me that kind of defeats the purpose, because I end up just reading the English subtitles and not really listening so much to like specific words and stuff. Like obviously I'm still listening, but not to the degree I am if I have to listen to understand what's happening. So I like to watch with the target text subtitles or no subtitles, but I like being able to have both, because I wasn't really sure I was at the point in Italian to be able to watch this show and really get everything without having some English subtitles, but I didn't want to go full force to English. So I've been really enjoying that. Podcasts, I wanted to find some I like. I'd say I did really well with this goal actually. I love the Coffee Break podcast series. I've mentioned this a few times now. I really do. I have now listened to Italian, Spanish, and German for the Coffee Break series. I really like them. I also listened to some podcasts in French, in German, in Spanish. I don't know if I listened to any in Italian. I don't think I did. There were some that I really liked. There were some that I didn't like. There's gonna be more that I check out in the future that I will and won't like, but I'm glad that I at least got myself to the point of getting that kind of listening experience in. And as a little bonus here, I didn't put this as a goal, but I have taken quite a few Italki lessons this summer. I haven't taken an Italki lesson in a while. I've taught them, but I haven't taken an Italki lesson in probably like 4 years or so. It's been a while. I obviously had the Spanish and Italian kind of lessons when I was doing the romance challenge with Mango Languages. Those weren't through Italki, but it was like a lesson. So I have had them more recently than 4 years in that sense, but I haven't like had to kind of go on my own quest to find a really good tutor and all of those things in a while, and I just haven't in general. Even the romance challenge was like 2-3 years ago now, so it's been a little while since I really had kind of video call lessons with anyone about a language, and I've been really kind of enjoying it. They've been very stressful for me, obviously, but I have also at the same time been enjoying getting this kind of feedback. I've been enjoying getting to use my languages a lot. I think that's one thing that I really started to re-fall in love with this summer, was using languages and getting feedback on them. I think for a while, just like the imposter syndrome and not studying so much and all of those things were making it so that I wasn't really getting that enjoyment out of it that I am currently and that I used to. So I've been really loving uploading diaries to this channel and getting feedback from you. I've been loving taking lessons and having tutors critique me and that sort of thing. So I'm very excited about that and excited to keep doing it. I have a Spanish lesson tonight, so we'll see how that goes. This next one I didn't complete, but I would also say that I didn't totally fail at it. I'd say that part of what is keeping me from doing it right now is simply time with work. So I wanted to do a little challenge for myself, which I'd set last summer and then didn't get to because I didn't really study languages last summer so much. And then this summer I set it again and I thought that I could do it, and I definitely say that I put in the work to do this one. I just can't really get it done right now. I wanted to record videos in each language that weren't diaries. They were more so on like a certain topic and they just happened to be in this other language, and I wanted them to be a certain length before editing. So I wanted to talk for 20 minutes before editing in German, 30 minutes before editing in French, 15 in Spanish, 15 in Italian, and 10 in Bulgarian. The one thing that kind of shows me that I didn't totally fail with this, and I probably could have done it if it weren't for the actual getting the videos done part, is that I filmed a German diary earlier on in the summer and I filmed for way over 20 minutes. It was like 30 minutes originally, and then edited down it ended up being like 7 or 8 minutes. And I just recorded a Spanish diary literally right before this and it was over 15 minutes. I think it's probably like 20-25 minutes. I have no idea what it'll be once I start to edit it down. I think probably quite a bit less because I know that I rambled a lot in that video. But I did it. I filmed for that long and it was a diary. I was talking about the things that I had done in my language learning, but I evidently can speak for that long in that language, and I think that says something. The only ones I'd say that I really failed with this are French and Bulgarian. I know I also didn't film a video in Italian, but I'm planning to film one this upcoming week. It's going to be one of the next videos. I guess the next video after this video will be an Italian diary. I didn't film any videos in French or Bulgarian, so I'd say those are the ones that I kind of failed with. I definitely am going to start posting more videos kind of like the idea behind these challenge videos, where I'm talking about a subject that isn't language learning in my target languages more often. It's been something I've wanted to do for kind of a while, but I realized recently that I really just want more videos in my target languages, and part of why I'm not uploading as many as I would like to is because though the diaries are this really nice way to show my level in speaking and kind of what I've been doing, I don't always feel like I have enough to update with what I've been doing to film one. So if I have things like talking about a day in my life or talking about my favorite TV shows ever or whatever, even if they're not from that target language, in my target language, it gives me an opportunity to practice my speaking, showcase what my speaking level is at, get feedback, etc. without having to have too many updates. So the videos that are like what these challenge videos would be will be coming throughout the fall. Really, I think the problem is just that it coincided with me going back to work and me feeling like I only have so much time to film as it is, and there are so many videos that I want to make, and I don't necessarily want to be filming 5 challenge videos right now. I want to be getting to film all of these other things, and I wanted to get diaries out in all of these languages before I filmed the challenge videos. And as you can see by the fact that I'm posting a Spanish video before this video and then an Italian video afterwards, I've got a little bit of catching up to do there, so it just didn't happen. I wanted to study 30 to 60 minutes a day, plus have other time separate from that that's to kind of maintain and improve the other languages. So spend 30 to 60 minutes doing like textbook work for whatever the focus language is, and then additional time kind of watching TV, reading books, etc. in all of those other languages. I would say that I did decent with this, then definitely fell off of it in July. Got back to it, and then the real struggle has been, now that I'm back at work, I would not say that I have that much time and energy to be able to do like all of these languages in one day. My goal recently has just been to do something every day. I have let go of the 30 to 60 minutes goal because I know that a lot of the time that's just unattainable, and getting myself to only do it when I have 30 to 60 minutes is not the best way for me to be learning languages right now. So pretty much how I'm breaking it up is trying to spend a little bit more time with whatever the focus language is, in this case Italian, spending time with a textbook for that language, and just every time I get a chance kind of rotating through doing those other languages, reading in German, reading in Spanish, watching TV, etc. And it's been working really well. I have a Spanish lesson tonight, as I said, after work, which is a little bit wild. I have an Italian one next week. I have been studying, I have been working through stuff. I found a memorized course that I like for Italian. I am definitely trying to keep up with all of it, and I would say I'm doing a pretty good job. I think I can start to get better and better the more that I work at this job and kind of get used to my hours that are always changing, but get used to the different kind of types of hours I might have, get used to how to incorporate language learning, etc. But I'd say that I am trying my best and it's working out pretty well so far. And then finally, I wanted to stick to the polyglot progress schedule, which I'd say I did pretty good with. I only missed, I think, 2 or 3 weeks total, and that includes me uploading kind of like later on. I did pretty good. I did have to change the schedule from 2 times a week to 1 time a week, but I'd say that is fine. I'm doing a lot right now. I think it needed to happen, but I am definitely really glad that I've stuck with it. I have a lot of ideas for the future. I'm glad that I got to spend the summer coming back to polyglot progress and building it back up to what I want it to be, and not even building it back up, but getting it kind of moving in the new direction that I have in mind for it. I just have a lot of ideas for videos that I've kind of never done before. I'm trying to post way more diaries than I ever used to, and way more of other types of videos that I would occasionally post previously, but not as much as I would like to, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I'd say it's going pretty well. So my overall consensus for the summer is that I didn't fail with my goals, but I think that a lot of things changed. I don't think I really stuck with what I had envisioned for my summer goals at the beginning, but I think in the year of 2020 that is totally expected, even if it's not expected. And I, in general, am glad that I prioritized what my real goals were, which was kind of improving my language levels and getting them to certain spots instead of just kind of moving on to the next thing. So overall, I'd say that my summer goals, while I don't feel super great about what I accomplished, I think I accomplished a lot of the foundational stuff to move into this fall. I'd say that currently I'm in a very good spot with my language learning, despite being so busy. So I think that really this summer was a lot about getting me back after a year away from language learning, and just kind of getting myself back up to where I need to be, and then now I will be able to move into the kind of bigger, exciting things. As always, I would love to know how your goals went. I would also love to know kind of what you think would be a good system for me talking about my goals in the future. Like, should I just do a seasonal thing? Do you like the kind of monthly updates? Should I maybe do every few months? What do we think? Because I feel like these take up a lot of the upload schedule, so I'm hesitant to do 1 month updates, but at the same time I think there's something nice about checking in. So I'm trying to decide what to do. If you have any input, I would love to hear it, and I would definitely love to hear how all of your goals went and how you're feeling moving into the fall now. I will see you next Wednesday, and remember, practice makes progress.